Good morning. I'm Hams, and I wanted to welcome you to Hams Radio. Here, for anybody who hasn't joined us prior to now, what I'm doing is kind of sharing my journey of self-growth, self-reflection, self-healing through the numerous traumas that I've been through my life. And these videos are basically kind of just sending out parts, like my process of becoming a healthier version for myself. Everything I'm doing here is just shit that I'm doing for myself. I'm not a medical professional or anything like that. So these are just my thoughts, journeys, struggles, reflections, and hopefully it'll help someone at some point who's possibly struggling with something of their own. And so that's what I'm doing it. So I have no idea if anything I'm saying is helping anybody or if it's giving food for thought. I just hope that, and I believe that at some point it will offer some help to somebody. So today I kind of wanted to do kind of just like a rambling, I guess, or not a rambling. It's all rambling. All I do is ramble. But I picked a couple of topics that I'd like to kind of talk about, or at least touch on, and I don't know if I'm going to get to them all. So we'll start just with one, see how long it takes, see where my mind takes me, and then go from there. But I do have, one of the things I want to talk about is going from a yes woman to being able to say no and be assertive when I don't want to do something and say no, instead of just always agreeing to whatever it is. It has affected me in many situations. It's not just, hey, do you want to go do this? Or do you want to go to the club? Or do you want to, it involves a lot of very personal things. And I believe that mentality is the reason that I have gone through a lot of sexual assault in my life. My inability to say no. And I tend to be a people pleaser. I want to make sure people around me are happy, or anyone I'm with are happy. Now, that may sound like, oh, you want your friends to be happy. But this goes beyond just friends. This goes beyond just a normal friendship. This has affected me with strangers. Has affected me with family members, with friends. It has affected me in every stage of my life to not be able to say no. And like I said, I think it attracted a lot of sexual assault for me because I wasn't setting boundaries. I wasn't allowing no to even be a possibility. So I'm going to talk about why I think I was a yes woman, why I think I felt like there was a desperate drive. And I say desperate because I didn't always enjoy it. But it was my need for attention, I think, and getting it any way possible, which means I need to be accepted and liked by people around me, which means I will do whatever it is to be accepted, to be liked. I'm sure it's not super huge leap from getting there to sexual assault. My inability to say no got me in a lot of weird situations. Not weird, some weird, but some dangerous, some very risky. I did things I didn't want to do, and I was desperate to find a way where I didn't have to wake up the next day, or I didn't have to I didn't have to look back later knowing that I was going to be very unhappy with the choices I made in that moment. It really affected everything I did, especially when I was in the Marine Corps. I would have been, people say that you can categorize military people or military females into either a bitch, a slut, or bitch, slut. Anyways, I would have fallen into the slut category. And yeah, it's just where I fit in. I have read that with sexual trauma, sexual abuse, that you can either turn fucking don't want to be touched, don't want to be, don't want to interact, very withdrawn kind of reaction. Others will go quite the opposite. They fuck everybody. They are the slutty ones. They're the ones that people will look at as like they want me around, but in hopes to fuck me, kind of thing, if that makes sense. And it's not like I didn't know that in the moment. I fucking did. I knew that that's kind of how I was looked at. I knew the reputation I had. I knew that what I was doing was not smart. I knew all of that. The drive for acceptance from everybody around me dwarfed that logical brain that said you shouldn't do this, but my fucked up mental state says, yeah, you need to, because that's how I need to, that's how I survive. That attention is how I survive. That attention is how I know I'm not going to die the next day. That is what I'm saying all of this after many years of kind of trying to figure out why I would act in a way when I knew I wasn't going to be happy with my actions. So this is just kind of stuff I've thought about over years. So it's just not like I woke up this morning and been like, "Ooh, this sounds good." This is some shit that I've given a great amount of thought, reflection. I have spoken to friends and my mom. My mom is she has her doctorate in psychology. So when I talk to her, I'm not getting Joe Schmo's random feedback from life experiences. I am getting it from somebody who actually knows what she's talking about. So when I speak about my mom and I talked about her, that's why I talked to her about all this kind of stuff and respect it. And she's worked with a lot of people in the same area as me, emotionally disturbed, emotionally troubled, emotionally whatever, including the mental side of it as well. So it's not like, again, I'm not pulling off as Joe Schmo. My mom has a doctorate in psychology. Okay. So I believe a lot of the anxiety that I'm feeling today and the problem with not being able to say no even in instances that to the normal person, highly risky, highly dumb, highly chaotic. Normal person with I feel like normal people who are not responding to trauma like this may not even understand. And not in a bad thing, just it's very hard to understand why you would do something that's going to be so detrimental to yourself. In the moment, you know it's going to be bad for you, and you still proceed to do it anyway. And I would do that a lot. So I think it kind of derives from the time I spent with my biological father Bud. So when I was 7, it's hard to get the timeline exactly perfect because there's some stuff that happened boom, 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 boom. So if I stumble across timeline, that's why it gets kind of mixed up a little bit. So there was a portion of my life after we were taken away from my mom, me and my 4 sisters, my 4 blood sisters, and when we were taken away from our mom, we were put in a foster home, spent a month there. Terrible experience, by the way. I think the dog was more loved than we were. She had two other children in the house too, and yeah, I just know it was, even if it was a month, and it was, I don't know, it's fucking weird. And that may drive into it as well, or affect the way I haven't really had my own place in like fucking forever. Maybe, I have no idea. So after we were sent to the foster home, after a month, we were told our biological dad was going to pick up. My biological mom had let us know that our biological dad was going to come get us. Cool. Our parents had divorced when I was 4. We didn't know anything going on at the time. So we were like, cool, we're going to go to our dad. Awesome. So we go there, and I can't remember if it was all these rules set up when we got there or if they were gradually put in. But over the next 10 months, he had me and my 4 sisters, and there was a lot of abuse going on. What I will try to stick with is anything that happened to me personally, my thoughts, my feelings, what I can remember, what I can visually remember right now. I'm not going to try to, I'm just going to say what I can, and yeah. I hope that cleared anything up. Hold on. So some of the rules that he had for us, just to name a few, we got up really fucking early. I feel like before the sun even rose up. I feel like fucking 5:30. And at the time, I believe we were living in National City. Obviously I am, I'm not 7 anymore, and that was a long time ago. So it's gonna be hard to recall every details, but this is like the gist of what I remember. So we woke up around 5:30, whatever. It's still fucking freezing. National City, Harbison Avenue, 540 South Harbison. Anyways, South Harbison is the street we lived on. I have no idea. I think the National City, something like that. Anyways, we'd wake up, we'd have breakfast, and after breakfast, we were not allowed to wear any clothing that was designed to keep you warm. So we had to take off any sweatshirts, any sweatpants, socks that we had prior to breakfast, because I honestly have no idea. On top of this, Bud would require that all the doors and windows be open. So on top of having no warm layers, now we're exposed to everything outside. I ended up getting frostbite on my toes, and itty bitty little toes. I always say that, and it always makes me laugh because I got frostbite in San Diego. So we went to the doctor. What I don't fucking get is how, because I wasn't the only one with frostbite. How could my dad have taken more than one child with frostbite on their toes in San Diego and didn't fucking question it? After that, the doctor had suggested that we have to, put our feet in warm water. That's what the doctor told us. What my dad heard was, make them stand in scorching hot water in the bathtub until you feel like it. So he turned the water all the way hot. Mind you, again, I am like 7. Yeah, I'm like 7. And 7 or 8. All the way hot. It is fucking steaming, as hot as the bath could fucking go. And he made me get in it. I was crying. I was telling him it hurt so bad, and he made us stand in it. I remember him telling me, and I don't know why I remember this, but I thought it was super just odd. He told us if we stand there and don't move, it'll become easier to deal with quicker, because as that heat is being, this is super weird for me to remember, I know, but this is kind of the sum up of what he had told me. Not exact words, I don't remember exact words, but I remember this moment because I remember like the feeling, like this doesn't sound right, like that doesn't, like being super conflicted with how I felt and what he was telling me to do, I think is why I remember this incident. So he forced me and the other sibling with me and made us stand in scorching hot water. So that's a couple things. Another thing is he loved to flaunt the privileges of his other children when I was in trouble. So let's say I sneak cookies somewhere, like at church. I snuck cookies at church because that was the only fucking place that I could find cookies. He had a whole health system set up at the house. It was fucking weird. So if I were to sneak cookies, now I have 3 days of bland as fuck food. Like it's food that you can get down, but it's not, like you're gonna eat it more out of desperation because you're so fucking hungry than because it's actual like good food. But during those 3 days that I'm in trouble and I can't eat fucking food, he is making my siblings' food extra special. He would make like special, like I think he would make like French toast or something, and it was very, very rare that he would make that, but he would do it on days that I am in trouble. So that was slightly annoying. What's the other thing? Oh, only fed us barely enough to keep us alive. And I mean this, and I literally fucking mean this. Take your hand, try to pinch the skin, like at the top of your finger right there. Try to see if you can grab a hold of any. Okay? You couldn't do that at any point on my body. No, nothing. You couldn't do this under my arm. You couldn't do this in my belly. You couldn't do it on my thighs. Nothing. And do you see how much fucking meat I have on me now? Look at this. So my relationship with food was greatly distorted, I believe, during that time. And that's another topic that I'd like to talk about. So this is 10 months of extreme anxiety situations. I did not enjoy myself, I will say that. Did not enjoy myself. But I felt like I was constantly having to figure out what I needed to do to get my father's attention, my biological father's attention. But what did I need to do? And it was almost like competing with my other sisters for his love, for his attention. See, in my head, I wasn't getting the love and attention that some of my siblings were getting. And so I was constantly just trying to be good enough, trying to be good enough, trying to be good enough, trying to be good enough. I would take initiative. I would try to be helpful. I would try to do anything I could think of to just get his approval. And it never worked. Nothing worked. I never got his approval. I never felt the satisfaction of feeling like my dad loved me. So when I think about that, when I think about the relationship I had with Bud, and I think about how I react in situations, especially around males, especially around men, my ability to interact is severely crippled. Like severely, just the desire for attention, love, and just to be cared for by my dad. Just the need is so great that any other feeling gets overshadowed. Any logic talk gets overshadowed. Any thing that I tell myself, trying to talk myself out of it, gets overshadowed. Like nothing matters. But nothing was good enough. Nothing was good enough. And I tried to use sex as a way to feel like I was good enough for somebody, that it definitely destroyed a lot of, like my self-esteem, my self-image. So that was hard, because it was, okay, it was very hard to keep doing these things that were only causing me harm, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't fucking stop. And there's always anxiety that I feel behind that. So it's very hard to live in a constant state of anxiety about needing to do whatever I can to be accepted by people around me, but also fighting myself, because I know that's exactly the opposite of what I need for me. And I think I just finally got fed up with that. So I started kind of thinking about, and this is when it started. This was after I was out of the Marines. I got out of the Marines in 2013. And I didn't really start applying this until afterwards. But, Yeah. So imagine that. And both sides are extremely strong. Like I feel like are extremely strong forces. So that was hard to constantly feel that in me. It was a constant battle of I need this fucking attention, but also I need to do what's best for me. And they always were at heads, and this fucking need for attention won a lot. I picked attention in the moment over myself well-being, my needs, my wants, my desires. It often got just pushed aside because I needed that acceptance. So when I decided I had a fuck enough of that shit. And this is when I started thinking about my relationship with Bud when we were in his care. Just drawing some, really, it's just fucking guesses. But thinking about if I can remember any emotional reaction attached to anything I was doing. I would just try to dig deeper. It's not the being a slut part that was the issue for me. It was the fact that I was a slut and didn't want to be. That wasn't the drive. I wasn't just being like, sure, yeah. Like I have a really high libido or whatever. That wasn't the driving force. It wasn't like I was going around trying to fuck everybody. I just couldn't say no. So I started figuring out how can I get myself to a point where I can say no in situations that I do not want to be in, that I do not agree with, and I can say no and get out of it and not feel this overwhelming feeling of shame or guilt when I say no. That was the other thing. Saying no, I felt bad. I felt shame. I felt guilt. I felt an inability to say no because I have this huge negative emotional, like, rush of feelings that I had trouble combating. So I started saying no when I could, but like start very, very small. I think I honestly have no idea. I don't remember my actual process when it came to this. But it was small shit. Like it could have been someone, like this is a shitty example, but someone asking for a pencil, and even if you don't have one, not feeling guilty or shame, because that's me. Someone could ask me for something. I don't have it. I feel bad that I can't have it for them. It's super fun. Or even if I don't have an extra whatever, pencil's a terrible thing. That's nothing I would ever tell someone, no, you can't borrow a pencil. Unless it's mechanical, because those motherfuckers don't bring those fuckers back. So if I have an extra mechanical pencil in my bag, someone asks me if I have an extra pencil. This is a low risk situation for me. They don't know I have a pencil, and it's a fucking pencil. So if they ask me, hey, do you have an extra pencil I can borrow? I can say, no, I don't. They don't know that I have an extra one, and I'm able to practice saying no. And hopefully when I am successful in the small arenas, then I can translate into the bigger arenas, bigger situations. So that's what I've been doing. I want to say, like 5 or 6 years, I would say. And I'm able to say no when I don't want sex. I am able to say no when I don't want to do something that I don't want to do. When people give me the wrong vibe or when they do something, I am able to remember when I said that internal conflict about needing attention and doing shit for me and what's going to be better for me. And slowly but surely, instead of the attention side winning and winning and winning and winning, I would get a win for myself. And I was still getting that, all of those other things that came with having that attitude. So I'm not saying I started saying no about lending my mechanical pencil. But in that one area, I can say no, even though everything else I may not. What I'm doing now is taking this feeling, and even if I can't in the moment, whatever happened in this one singular refusing to lend my pencil, I just extrapolated it to the next situation, or at least I was thinking about it. I started thinking about it more in these other situations where I would like to be able to say no, right? So it started small, got comfortable in this area. But while I was still getting comfortable in saying no to very, very small, inconsequential things, I was still at least seeing how I could apply it in these bigger situations. Doesn't mean I acted exactly the way I wanted to. And I don't expect to. I didn't expect this to be an overnight kind of thing. I think that was the other thing. I took rejoices in these small victories. That is what gave me motivation, because a situation pops up, you notice your reaction to the situation, you now have observed the changes that you are wanting to see in yourself. If that's not fucking motivation, I don't fucking know what is. But that is what kept me like, all right, I just keep thinking about it, keep trying, keep applying what I've learned in this tiny little situation and extrapolate it. And that is how today I've definitely expanded my ability to say no. So my next step on top of saying no this is what I'm currently working on, is even if I say no, it'd be like, hey, can you hang out this day? No, I can't. Or I'm sorry, I can't. Or, hey, can you do this other day instead? I have a habit of trying to validate everything I do in my life. Validate everything. If I say, no, I can't hang out, my tendency is to write about what I'm doing the whole day just to show you that I really don't have time to hang out. I feel guilty when I can't provide proof that I can't hang out. I'll send photos. If I end up getting a flat or whatever, I will send photos, because I'm so scared that people don't believe me. And that's not against them. That's against me. I feel like if I don't provide proof, if I don't have the receipts to what I'm saying is true, then it's not valid. It's not validated. It's not a good reason. There needs to be proof. But I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, I'm definitely in a way better place when it comes to being able to say no. I know my inability to say no has affected me throughout my life a lot. The time that I spent with Bud, I think also developed this thing inside of me where with authority figures, I tend to be a little bit more sneaky and I won't be upfront about what the fuck I'm doing. And this, I think, again, kind of stems from spending 10 months with Bud. Fuck. Okay. So we got through one topic today. The other topics I'm going to discuss, I don't know if it'll be next one or whatnot, but a couple that relate to this topic that I've just spoken about today, is my relationship with food. It's been very, very unhealthy, my relationship with food, but I do want to talk about that. Obviously, my Me Too story, I never came out with any of this before. So I figured throw my Me Too movement, my Me Too story in here as well. And I think that's more for me, just getting it out there, being able to talk about it, because I really haven't been able to. I've told a couple people here and there, but not the full story. I don't think anybody knows the full story. So full story will be here later. And then about kind of what I do when I feel anxiety and I can't pinpoint a trigger. Kind of how I handle that. Yeah. Deuces.